awake to the smell. No matter how many times you've tried to adjust, it's always there when you open your eyes. Sewage, rot, spoiled meat, coal smoke mixed with something you'd rather not identify. This is the air of the city. This is the scent of thousands of people living on top of each other with nowhere to put the waste their bodies produce. Your house sits on the second floor of a wooden building so tilted that you've learned to walk, compensating for the slope of the floor. The walls are thin. You hear everything: neighbors fighting, babies crying, someone coughing blood 3 doors down. Privacy does not exist here. Neither does silence. Neither does the illusion that you are separate from the suffering around you. You rise and walk to the window, not to see sunlight, to dump the contents of your chamber pot into the street below. Everyone does this. There is no other option. Sometimes you shout a warning. Most times you don't. The street absorbs everything: urine, feces, dirty water from washing clothes, food scraps, blood from butcher shops, animal guts. It all accumulates between the irregular stones of the pavement. This is a medieval city. And if you are here, truly here, there is one truth you need to accept immediately. This world runs on filth. Before we discuss disease, before we talk about death, you need to understand what no sanitation actually means. It means waste defines every moment of your existence. The streets are not paved evenly. They slope toward the center where a shallow channel is supposed to carry refuse away. But the channel clogs constantly. Straw, rags, dead rats, human waste. When it rains, everything flows together into a thick sludge that reaches your ankles. When it doesn't rain, the waste just sits there, baking in the sun, breeding flies by the thousands. You step outside, and immediately your shoes sink into something soft. You don't look down. Everyone learns not to look down. The smell is worse in summer. In winter, at least, the cold slows the decay. But summer turns every street into an open sewer. The heat amplifies everything. Your clothes absorb the stench. Your hair holds it. Your skin carries it even after washing, if you can afford to wash. Walking through the city means navigating filth. You learn which streets flood worst when it rains. You learn which alleys the butchers use to dump offal. You learn where tanners throw their waste, so the caustic chemicals and rotting flesh they use to cure leather. You learn these things not from maps or guides, but from stepping in them, smelling them, living among them every single day. There are public latrines, wooden structures built over pits or rivers. You share them with dozens of strangers. There is no door, no privacy. The seats are slick with waste. The smell is unbearable. Most people avoid them. Instead, they use alleys, corners, anywhere out of immediate sight. The city becomes a giant toilet. And the waste doesn't just stay in the streets. It seeps into wells, into the river, into the very water you drink every single day. You do not understand contamination. You cannot see bacteria. You only know that sometimes, after drinking from a certain well, people get sick. So you avoid that well and use another. But the next one might be just as bad. The river is worse. It serves every purpose: drinking water, washing clothes, dumping waste, slaughtering animals. Upstream, a tanner empties his vats. Downstream, a family fills their buckets. No one connects these events. No one understands why disease spreads along the river's path like a shadow. Your work begins early, not because you want it to, but because daylight is precious. If you are a craftsman, You work in a shop so small you can barely turn around. If you are a laborer, you haul things. Barrels, stones, animal carcasses, waste. Everything in this city moves on human backs. There are no machines, no carts on most streets because the streets are too narrow, too clogged with filth. You work surrounded by smells that never leave. Leatherworkers breathe in the fumes of urine and excrement used to soften hides. Butchers stand ankle-deep in blood and guts. Dyers work with chemicals so toxic, their hands blister and peel. Fishmongers sell from stalls where flies coat the merchandise like a second skin. You cannot escape it. This is simply how work smells. Food here is not about taste, it's about survival. And every bite carries risk. Bread is the foundation of your diet, but the grain is often moldy. You eat it anyway. Meat spoils quickly. There is no refrigeration. Sellers disguise the rot with spices if they can afford them, or they just sell it rotten. You learn to cook everything thoroughly, hoping heat kills whatever is growing inside. Milk turns sour within hours. Cheese helps it last longer, but cheese can also harbor illness. A fish caught in the polluted river tastes like the filth it swam through. Vegetables from gardens fertilized with human waste carry parasites you cannot see. Every meal is a gamble. Water, the thing you need most, is the most dangerous. You cannot boil it for every use. Fuel is expensive, so you drink it as it comes. Sometimes you drink ale instead, not because you want to be drunk, but because the brewing process makes it safer than water. Children drink weak ale. Adults drink it throughout the day. It is the closest thing to a safe beverage this world offers. But even ale doesn't save you from what comes next. Disease is not an occasional visitor here. It is a permanent resident. Dysentery spreads through contaminated water, causing fever, cramps, and diarrhea so severe it kills through dehydration. Children die within days. Adults last longer, but not by much. There is no treatment, only waiting to see if your body can survive. Typhoid comes from the same source, fever that builds and builds, delirium, a rash across the chest. Some recover, many don't. The sickness moves through households, through entire neighborhoods. No one knows why. They blame bad air, divine punishment, the alignment of stars. They never suspect the well they all share. Cholera strikes without warning. One morning you wake feeling fine. By afternoon, you cannot stop vomiting. By evening, your body has expelled so much fluid you can barely move. Your skin turns gray. Your eyes sink. Some people die within hours. Others linger for days. The speed of it is terrifying. The randomness of who survives is worse. And then there is plague. Not every year, but when it comes like a scythe through wheat. It starts with swollen lymph nodes, painful lumps in the neck, armpits, groin. Then, fever, chills, black patches on the skin where blood vessels burst. It spreads through fleas, through rats, through close contact in cramped spaces where everyone lives on top of each other. Entire families are wiped out, entire streets. The city tries to quarantine the sick, locking them in their homes with red crosses painted on the doors. But disease does not respect locked doors. It finds a way, through shared walls, through open windows, through the very air that everyone breathes. Your home offers no protection. If anything, it makes illness more likely. You live in close quarters with family, sometimes with strangers who rent a corner of your single room. When one person gets sick, everyone does. There is nowhere to isolate, nowhere to escape. You breathe the same air. You touch the same surfaces. You share the same bed if you're poor enough. Parasites are constant. Lice live in your hair, your clothes, your bedding. You cannot get rid of them. Fleas breed in the straw on your floor. Bedbugs hide in the cracks of your wooden bed frame. They feed on you at night. You wake with bites covering your body. Scratching leads to infection. Infection leads to fever. Fever can lead to death. Rats are everywhere. They nest in walls, in attics, in piles of garbage that accumulate faster than anyone can remove them. You hear them at night, scratching, squeaking, fighting. Sometimes you see them during the day, bold enough to take food from your table. They carry disease. Their fleas carry disease. Their waste contaminates everything. This is your home. It protects you from rain. It keeps you slightly warmer in winter, but it does not keep you safe. By now, you're probably wondering how long people actually live in these conditions. The answer is not long, and it depends entirely on when you are born. If you are born in a medieval city, your first challenge is simply surviving infancy. Roughly 1 in 3 children dies before age 5. Some never make it past their first year. Infections that would be minor in a cleaner world become fatal here. A simple cut, a bout of diarrhea, a fever. Any of these can kill a child whose body is already weakened by poor nutrition and constant exposure to disease. Mothers try to protect their children. They keep them inside when sickness spreads through the neighborhood. They boil water when they can afford the fuel. They pray. But prayer does not purify water. Prayer does not kill bacteria. Children die and parents bury them, and life continues because it has to. If you survive childhood, your chances improve slightly. But you are not safe. You work in conditions that damage your body. You breathe air thick with smoke and fumes. You drink water that slowly poisons you. You eat food that carries illness. Your body accumulates damage year after year. Men in their 30s often look 50. Their teeth are rotten or gone. Their skin is scarred from infection. Their lungs are compromised from breathing polluted air. Women fare worse. Childbirth without sanitation is a death sentence for many. Infections after delivery, hemorrhaging, exhaustion. There are no doctors who understand germs. Only midwives doing their best with knowledge passed down through generations. The average lifespan hovers around 35 to 40 years. Not because people couldn't live longer, but because the environment kills them first. Some do live into their 50s or 60s. These are the lucky ones, the survivors, but they are not the majority. And yet, somehow, the city does not empty. People keep coming. They flee the countryside where famine and war make life even harder. They come seeking work, opportunity, anything better than what they left behind. They find this: streets of filth, water that kills, air that chokes. And they stay because even this is survivable if you lower your expectations far enough. Survival here is not about comfort or safety. It is about enduring one more day, about waking up still breathing, about not being the one carried out in a cart this week. Hope exists, but it is small. A day without dysentery, a well that hasn't made anyone sick yet, a child who survives past 5. These moments are enough. This is what life looks like in a medieval city without sanitation. Not romantic, not adventurous. A world built on filth, where disease is ordinary and death is expected. Where clean water is more valuable than gold, and survival itself feels like an achievement. So when you imagine the medieval period, don't picture knights and castles. Picture ordinary people wading through sewage every morning, drinking water they know might kill them, working in conditions that destroy their bodies, and choosing every single day to keep going. Not because life was kind, because stopping meant disappearing. That is a medieval city without sanitation, a world that made you sick just by existing in it. And the people who lived there anyway.